what's up? I just messaged Ben on Twitter.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean he's looking for the email, I think.
Oh, he's not coming.
Wait.
What is that?
Do you have a soundboard?
I'm going full drive time radio, baby. This is.
Oh my god.
This is. Yeah. Let's see.
Wait, do we have a soundboard?
I mean, I have a web browser.
Okay, that's what it is.
Let me just turn my mic down a little bit here. Yeah, it's
There's Ben Katzner.
Wait, is he in? Yeah,
he's hiding.
Hey,
there he is.
What's up, guys?
Hey,
What's up?
Apologies. I thought I could do the thing where I'm like, I'm just gonna take a quick nap and then I'm gonna hop on and this is all gonna work. And then I open my computer and it's like, you need to restart immediately.
If you need to take a nap at any point, that's totally fine. Yeah. They're not paying anyone.
Yeah, MD
What
does
time?
it in the middle of half of our episodes. Anyway,
Shut up.
with
What
her eyes open.
What time did you wake up to be taking a nap at 1?
That's a great question, and my answer is embarrassing. I got up at 10.
Okay. I got up at like noon, so I didn't have to take a nap. I just slept until this.
Normally I would. I got up marginally earlier than I would, and I did like some dishes, and I was trying to be like a good boyfriend / human being, and then I was like, but now I don't want to be a person, and I went to bed for a little bit. But
that's what Sundays are for.
Yep.
Yes, it's like there's like a bank of how much like good you can be before you just have to be like, well, I no longer exist.
You're allowed to not be a person if you do one normal household chore. That's the rule. In this department, so that's fine.
To our listener, this is Ben Katzner, comic in New York from Minneapolis, who I've met like twice, but still decided to invite you on the podcast.
They were 2 good times. Every time
they were extremely good times.
Okay, perfect. I was like, oh no, what if there was a horrible time and I don't remember it and you remember it and you're going to confront me on this podcast?
Well,
good podcasting.
You were, yeah, no. We wake people up from naps and remind them
and yell at them.
No, you came to a Hell Yes Fest, the Disgraced New Orleans Festival.
Right, before everything happened, I was in that fest. And
we were there too.
Yeah,
so
okay.
Yeah.
It was, I did, I was at Dragon's Den, and I remember that place fondly, right? That's a place, right?
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. That festival, because of that, like, that's how I got my apartment in New York, like my first apartment, like living space. I met friends in New York. Like, everything in New York that is good stems mostly from going to Hell Yes Fest, which, as you said, is disgraced now and not.
Oh man, that's so funny. Well, I mean, I'm glad something good came out of that.
Yeah, is it still happen? Do people? Well, I mean, obviously nothing happens.
Dude,
now.
It's still. They're probably gonna do it like during coronavirus. Like,
yeah, Chris Drew is at he was literally performing air sex at a festival that Puddle of Mud was also on.
Hell yeah.
Well, that's a tough.
Like yesterday.
Whoa! Wait, really?
What?
Yeah. It was like, if you look at his Facebook. Hold on. Let's just shit on Chris Drew the entire time.
I'm totally okay with that.
Let's see. It was, damn it. I'm not friends with him anymore. He unfriended me. I wanted to stay friends with him to see what bullshit he was doing, but
the goal.
Unfortunately, he figured it out.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah. But anyway, I forgot what it was called, but it was like a lineup. Someone posted it on Twitter, and sure enough, I went to his Facebook and it was on there, but he kept on getting mocked, so he deleted it. But it was like Air Sex was on the same stage as like Puddle of Mud and a bunch of other bad bands. I don't know what festival it was, but
wait,
it was
people are still doing concerts?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, dog. Yeah, like you say Puddle of Mud. I just saw Buck Cherry is doing a concert in my hometown, if you remember
Oh my God.
The revolutionary hit "Crazy Bitch." That's Buck Cherry. Smash Mouth just got in trouble, obviously. I think for I don't know what they were doing, but they were out, I think, and doing a concert, and
Man,
all the worst
walking on the sun.
all the bands we normally shit on are like, okay, well, you already hate us, so we might as well double down and just do crazy stuff. The only
Their
band
fan base is all COVID deniers.
Exactly, 100%. The only band I feel like who's like kind of redeemed themselves over time is Nickelback, because I think they came out as like anti-Trump or something, and everyone's like, okay, I guess we'll give them a shot, and they just released a new album, so I'm sure we'll all hate them soon enough. But.
Yeah. Well, they just make bad music, but they're not bad people, right?
Right. Which I can live with. I can live with.
Sure.
I think
I hope they're just like never Trump Republicans. Like, we just want to alienate everybody except for like 6 people that work at the New York Times. That's the new Nickelback fan base.
That still feels better than, like, I'd rather them exist than what's his name? Who's the guy who's like an Obama? I know he's like an Obama birther guy, and doesn't matter. This riff is over. I've lost it. I'm going to find it later, and I'm going to be so upset. He's like, Cat Scratch Fever is his song, right?
Oh, Ted Nugent.
Yes.
Ted Nugent, exactly. Like, I'd rather Nickelback be whatever they are than him exist in this reality.
Yeah, Ted Nugent is fucked up.
He's an absolute piece of shit, but like, he does jam. Like,
Stranglehold is really good. No, but Ted Nugent had like a child bride for like when she was really young. Like, I think he was fucking like a 13-year-old. Let me see.
Yeah, I think he's got a song that's like, it's called like Child Bride, and you're like, oh man, and then the solo is so good.
Statutory rape.
He's gonna be at Hell Yes Fest next year for sure.
Oh shit, what was I gonna say? He's kind of the John McAfee of music, where it's like, it's like, man, you are awful, but sometimes you do cool stuff. Sometimes you shotgun cigar smoke out of your brandy snifter, and you're just like, all right, that was cool. It's okay. Yeah.
So in fact, the case of Nugent, we have even come to see alleged child sexual abuse as some sort of I cannot read yet.
That's okay.
You should have taken a nap. You should have taken your nap.
I know. Or harmless vice. Can you imagine anyone else who had been accused of having sex with a 12-year-old, written a song about raping a 13-year-old, and adopted a 17-year-old so that he could have sex with her, going on to campaign alongside the most conservative family values candidates? Anyway, so he's like the king of child rape.
One of the Rolling Stones guys also adopted someone to have sex with them. Used to just get to do that if you were a rock star.
What is that move? I am adopted, okay? I know the process, I know the work that goes into it, and never once any of my family members like laid a sexual hand on me. No one was like, oh, we paid all this money, we might as well.
We have to fuck him.
I couldn't imagine the idea of being like, I'm going to bring this, because the whole process is like, you're going to take care of this child. This is your family, whatever. And then they're like, yeah. But also, I am probably going to try to have sex with them. Like, is that?
Yeah. Like, did Child Protective Services not go to Ted Nugent's house and just immediately be like, no, he wants to have sex with the kid? That's
right.
Yeah. He showed up wearing only a scarf on his dick, and is like, I'm here to be a parent.
Yo, that's
trying to make this house a home.
That is true crazy, like, fame rock star shit, where like you can buy everything, so you're just like, yeah, no, I'm just gonna buy a person to legally have sex with them. I don't know if they can see. I air quoted that because that's fucked up. So I don't know if people are seeing the video or not, but air quotes legally.
They're not seeing the video, but
hard air quotes.
It's mostly a comedy podcast, so I think
know. Our 2 listeners don't think that if you think something's legal, it means it's good.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
We had an
we're
episode
against the law.
we literally had an episode called "All of Law is Absurd." So I think that people understand our feelings about the legal system.
That's on me for not doing my research. I apologize.
That's right. You should have memorized every episode title. I put a lot of work into the first 5, and then I stopped.
I haven't listened to this podcast in a good year, so
I think that's.
Well, I don't think you're supposed to say that. I think it's okay if I were to say something, but I feel like if it's your, well, I guess it doesn't matter. That's fine. It's your podcast. I'm sorry I judged you. All right, I'm really coming off rough here. I apologize. Now I'm just going to apologize to everybody.
I love it.
Are you an apologetic person? Is that
every second of it? I'm trying to be less of that. Now that the world is over, I'm trying to be man, fuck. If I think you suck and I say you suck and you get mad, I'm just gonna be that's what I thought. I'm not mad. I'm not gonna apologize for that. Especially with you're being from Minnesota, I'm from small town Minnesota, so there are a lot of people who just, with everything happening, just the craziest opinions, and I'm no longer being come on, Gary, you're better than that. I'm just hey man, that's fucked up and stupid. And that's it. I'm no longer apologizing for people's stupidity,
Yeah, I mean, it's promising that, Minneapolis is the city council voted to, completely disband the police, whatever that's going to look like. I really hope actual shit comes from it. But one thing I'm sure will come from it is there'll be slightly less just passive aggressive, not saying shit in the culture. And that's a huge step for the Twin Cities.
Yeah, it's so funny because you hear about Minnesota Nice and stuff, and then you talk to anyone who wasn't born there basically and lived there as a teen to adult. If they left, came, whatever, they'll be Minnesota Nice is bullshit. And it took me so long to be not I would get defensive about that. I was what are you talking about? And then once I got to a place where I was no longer again, adopted in a mostly white neighborhood. So I grew up around a lot of these people who are now, I'm understanding, are very racist and have fucked up ideas. And to them, I was just the kid or what, I was what, I hate this, but to them, I have to imagine I was one of the good ones, right? Okay. And now that I have viewpoints and opinions and I've seen different parts of the world and stuff, now they're and now I'm I'm no longer one of the good ones to you. Now I understand that. And they were just doing Minnesota Nice bullshit before, where they're just okay, you can come play with my son, but don't get any ideas that you're one of us or whatever.
Right.
I mean, it's temporary status for those people, for sure. One of the good ones is the most revocable position you can possibly have in their minds.
Right. And it's a mind fuck too, because you're wait, what was I doing to be on their looking at their opinions now? I'm what was I doing to be on their good side? And in hindsight, it was just I was just existing and I wasn't considered.
We're probably apologizing a lot. And they were this is great.
Yeah.
If you would apologize for your existence more, we'll let you hang.
Yeah, you could come smoke indoors at a bar without a mask and no social distancing if you were still cool, bro. But that's not what it is.
What's you're from a small town? I thought you were from Minneapolis.
No, I'm do you remember St. Cloud? Does that strike?
Oh yeah.
So outside of St. Cloud, so 90 minutes west of Minneapolis, St. Cloud is probably the next biggest city or whatever. And then my smaller town is called Albany, and so that's where I grew up. It was at the time, it was a good place to grow up. The school system's good and whatever. I thought, at least, whatever. My friends are great. I still have my best friends are my friends from elementary school. But now that I'm more aware of the world and they're people in that town have taken a peek at the world a little bit more. I see what it is more, and it's not as precious as I guess I thought it was when I was growing up, which was a very annoying, hard pill to swallow. Because you're I want these people who were good to me to also be good people, or I don't. Some people don't deal in good and bad, but I'm like, some of these views are like not just toxic, they're straight up. I'm like, yo, that's a bigoted viewpoint, or that's ignorant or whatever. And like, I did not get any sense of that when I was a kid. And now that I have all my friends, like moms and aunts and shit, are on Facebook, now I'm like, oh shit, you're straight up a racist. It's like, I don't want to see you when I get back here. How do we deal with that? So it's a little weird.
Yeah, it's hard, but like I underestimate how like many people are like finding out about the world like this year for some reason. Mm. I mean, well, not for some, like there are like clear reasons why it's like happening for those people, but like I think I was just always such a like pedantic and like angry little shit that I like never really got close enough to people who were like that to where I have to like be like, no man, my good friend, I gotta like talk to him. And like a lot of people are having that experience, and it's just like, oh, some people didn't burn every bridge when they were 13 like I did. And that's got to be hard for other people. But for me, I've just been over here like, fuck you. Like,
yeah, I had to wait until my like late 20s, early 30s to burn bridges in my life. It took me a while. Obama got elected when I was in college. And then, so I was like, and it was, in college, people, generally everyone's like, oh, this is dope, this is great. I remember my boss at the time I worked at like it's called 360 Journalism. It's a great thing. It's a journalism, it was a summer camp at the time, but like it's grown into this program that gets basically minority voices into journalism. It was very dope. So like my boss was like, oh my god, Obama is gonna be, Obama won, like all, and she was like celebrating. She's an older white lady, and I was like, yeah, this must be what everybody thinks. I was like a college freshman or some shit. And then so throughout Obama, basically I was in college, and then a little bit after, and then like this is for a lot of people, like, but when Trump started being a thing, that's when I was like, oh shit, like I knew you guys were like country, but y'all are like racist. Like there's country, you can be country and not racist, but you guys decided to be all of it, which is a little much. So that's when I started to have like these feelings and conversations, and going back home, which I did rarely, became like this, where do I go? Should I go to this place? Do I want to see this person? And it was easier to, as you just said, to burn the bridge. I'd rather be like, hey man, I'm not gonna fuck with you because you said some wild shit and it's on the internet, than dance around and be like, hey, we're cool, just don't ask me about how I feel about anything because we're not gonna agree. So.
I burned all my bridges at once by I just stopped posting on Facebook. It was the most liberating thing. I mean, I still have it because like, what if my crush from when I was 11 DMs me? You gotta be ready. You gotta be ready. Yeah, every once in a while I'll go on there to like look at the alum group for my high school to see which teachers had sex with which students, and then this is currently happening. This is a lot of stuff is getting aired out right now. It's fucked up. Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah. But anyway, so every once in a while,
while they were students.
Oh yeah, it was a boarding school, so it was just like, yeah.
Oh yuck.
It's very yucky. But. Anyway, so every once in a while I'll log on to just see what's up with my old high school, and I'll see someone that I like, a friend of mine that I know and love, just posting his heart out about like electoral politics or whatever, and he does it he must spend hours every day just arguing with people, and it's just like so liberating to not feel, and also the quality of the conversation is at such a low level, and the Overton window on Facebook is so much further right than it is on Twitter, and like Twitter is a hell website or whatever people say, but like it's the only social media platform that I have encountered where people routinely like butt up against ideas that are not their own. You know what I mean? Like, because you like, you quote like, tweet a horrible take, and then all the communists you follow see the horrible take, and it's like. So you get to you're a little bit, your fingers on the pulse of what people are thinking a little bit more. I think it's still an echo chamber, but not nearly as bad.
Sure. Yeah. I guess it's because Twitter is like so much more curated, and it's so much less, I think, reflective of like how actual like communities used to work when those things existed. Like Facebook is like it's just everybody that has any tie to each other is in a conversation together, and most like the people who talk the most are just the most unhinged
right
people, which is how communities work generally.
That's
true. Like the worst ideas are the loudest ideas. But Twitter is just people who are like, I'm confident that I can be funny enough in my shit to where it'll get seen. And like, that's usually how it works. But yeah, I've felt so good not being on Facebook since the like pandemic, because once I stopped having to book shows
right
for comedy, it was like there's no reason to do this anymore, and it feels great.
I don't know. I will say I find it beneficial to just keep a pulse on what like the crazies are saying on Facebook. Like the other day, someone like extremely racist, some comedian, or maybe he's not even a comedian. I don't know. There was a period where I just said yes to every friend request I got, and I'm being punished by God for the rest of my life. And so I see like the most racist memes, I guess. I don't even know if they're memes. Like it's just like a clip art picture with something racist written on it, shared by some guy whose name was like Guido, but his real name is like Ernest. Anyway, and he just like some old racist guy that friended me a year ago. And and then a lot of COVID denier stuff, because in Twitter, everyone is a communist that thinks that if you go outside, you're a murderer. Right. And on Facebook, everyone is like licking their family's assholes. And so I just like, I like to at least know what everyone's doing, because when I do go back out into the world, it's nice to be prepared. Like I can't think of a way it's helped me yet, but I feel like I like to be prepared. Like when we went out of the city, I know we're bad, but we went out of the city to go to a cabin. It was contactless, whatever. Anyway, so, but we went to a cabin for a couple days, an hour away in a small town in Louisiana outside of Hammond called Springfield. And I felt like we were going to get beaten up for wearing masks in the grocery store we went to. And I like expected that, because even though in New Orleans, pretty much, I mean, like in Metairie is like a suburb of New Orleans, and there was a lot of people not wearing masks in like Lowe's, but it was still like 50-50. But that was my first time since the pandemic. We really don't do much, but it was the first time being somewhere where I was like, okay, a lot of the country is like this. And I feel like Facebook kind of prepared me for that.
MD, what was the name of the town that you stayed in?
Springfield, like The Simpsons. Yeah.
I'm going full drive time radio with this. I'm figuring out soundboard shit. I'm gonna slowly
walk back just to set that up. Makes me so happy.
Oh yeah,
I'm so proud of me.
Oh yeah,
that made this was going to be worth it no matter what. But that truly was the cherry on top of it. Thank you so much.
It really.
We should just work in a bunch of like TV show titles and make Michael do this the rest of the episode. So cheers, everyone.
Ooh, I can do that one.
I'm sorry. What did you say? No,
I believe you said cheers. Yeah. Oh man, you're gonna have to pay royalties on that.
I know.
Yes, this is very satisfying.
This is my subtle way of making sure that there's never a record of the stupid shit that I say on the podcast, and I'm just gradually gonna incorporate copyrighted audio.
Ben, have you left New York at all since like March?
I left once, so you don't have to feel bad about your contactless hour drive to a cabin without. I did something much worse. We went to Montana to a friend's place. So
nice.
Which was good for us emotionally once we were there, but like it was a little nerve-wracking. That was the first time we'd left. So like I live in Queens, and it's my girlfriend and I in this one bedroom, and I hadn't gotten on the subway between like March 13th and July 1st. Like I haven't left my neighborhood. I haven't done anything. And then over July 4th weekend, we were just like, fuck it. All right, we're doing this thing.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna go, like, we're going insane. So we flew, which, whatever. It was weird. It was weird, but like everyone's wearing a mask, like you have to. Like we flew Delta, where I think everyone on the plane has to wear a mask. They have like sanitizer stuff they're spraying, and there's a seat between every person.
Yeah, and all the air goes out. Like there's no stale air.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Man, somebody should tell the Postal Service, the band, not because those lyrics are inaccurate.
Oh, really?
They have a song called Recycled Air. Come on.
I don't know. I was like, I don't know the lyric enough to know what you're talking
about.
Dude,
God, you guys did not wear enough tight band t-shirts when you were teenagers.
Like, I mean, I did. I just didn't necessarily listen to the bands.
No, dude. As a teenager, I still was like wearing like loose t-shirts I stole from the Hot Topic at the mall.
Hell
but
yeah.
like I committed to the like 70s thing like way too early, so it was like like Eric Clapton loose t-shirts.
Yeah,
that's fun.
Oh wait, I should go grab my Sublime t-shirt to show y'all. Hold on. I think it's in here.
I used to go to Hot Topic all the time to look at the Dragon Ball Z t-shirts, but I never bought one the whole time. Probably I did that for a decade. I was just like, man, Goku's
It was
looking.
a fun place to get it. It was great to look at stuff. There's all the stuff that I like, and I was into shitty. Oh, I
got the Long Beach, California one, which apparently is very gauche if you don't live there.
Oh, really?
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
It's also it's like a Sublime baseball
shirt.
It looks like the Orioles.
Ooh, it smells bad.
Ooh, that's how you know it's authentic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to wear I used to go into Hot Topic and I'm trying to embrace this part of myself, so I'm not going to apologize for it. I was a big new metal person.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. So is my husband still.
Okay. Some of it still holds up. The Deftones still hold up. So I would go into Hot Topic and try to buy all the stuff, and there's pictures of me in these Mudvayne shirts and Slipknot and all this stuff. So we're all in Hot Topic together. That's the last great melting pot in America, I think, honestly, was Hot Topic.
Yeah.
As shared social space erodes, our last memory of ever being in public together is going to be Hot Topic and Zoomies.
Yep. Spencer's Gifts. If you're a dirty kid and you're like, oh, I think there's something. I didn't know I was always like, I know there's something sexual here. I just couldn't tell what it was.
Right. You were like, that's a big walking stick, but can't find the sexual paraphernalia.
The only thing I ever didn't steal from the Mall of America was a dildo from Spencer's Gifts, just to see if they would let me buy it. And they were like, yeah.
How old were you?
14, I think.
You got to really sell it, though. You have to be like, this is for my ass. And then, you know what I mean?
I think I've already told this story, but the first time I ever saw a picture of a erect male penis was when my mom took me to this card store that had naughty adult cards and let me walk around. It was one of those stores. It was like a Spencer's Gifts, but for adults. And it was uptown, and it was owned by two older gay guys. It was called Something Different. And my mom loved to get funny, dirty cards there for her friends and let me roam around. And not only did I see this erect male penis, but then I immediately got yelled at by an old gay guy who told me that I should know better and snatched it out of my hand. And then I remember feeling so guilty for years. I confessed it to a priest.
Whoa.
I confessed it to a priest at confession at school because I thought I was going to go to hell. I was 7 years old.
You confessed that you saw a penis. That was your confession?
No, I had seen my dad's penis when he got out of the shower and it was soft. Classic. But I'd never seen an erect male penis. And I remember being this is fake. I knew that men had penises and it wasn't that weird. But but being erect, I was like, that's disgusting. I thought it was a fake penis.
I feel that way about my cock every time it's hard. This is fake.
They're so funny.
No way. Come on. This isn't me.
On Etsy.
And I was just processing it, and then I got yelled at. Anyway, that probably has a lot to do with who I am. I haven't.
You think that was a foundational trauma for you? Is getting yelled at for looking at a penis? And then, so what is the after effect of the trauma? Is it just like, fuck you, I'm gonna look at the penis? Like, what is it?
No. I think it's like a shame thing. I think that's like, I don't. Yeah. Oh, for sure. It's like a shame thing. And I remember telling my mom about it in Steinmart afterwards, and her being like, "It's not that big of a deal. He's just an asshole. Don't worry about it."
Oh, your mom. That's great parenting. Good for your mom.
Yeah. Well, she brought me into the fucking pornographic card store. I don't know why I wasn't allowed. There was nothing.
So it's a wash.
I mean, I honestly really respect my parents for like not being weird about like with movies. They would let me watch like movies that had sexual content, but not movies that had violence. Mm-hmm. And so like, not like rated R, but they let me watch like PG-13 movies when I was like 7. Because they were like, I mean, sex is everywhere. Who cares?
Also, the most R-rated shit that like happens in movies happens in the movie theater. Like,
yeah, that's true.
It should be illegal for a child to be in any movie theater because there's so many hand jobs left and right.
I don't know. I've never had that happen.
You kidding me? I go to a movie theater. I'm like, hey, can you turn the movie up? All I can hear is these hand jobs. So.
That was like where I had all my first sexual experiences was movie theaters.
I think that's pretty common. I remember I thought that was going to be my journey, and it very much was not. I remember going on a date in like 8th grade or something to Pearl Harbor, the cinematic classic Pearl Harbor, with my then girlfriend, and being like, well, this movie is going to be romantic. Like, we're for sure I'm gonna for sure touch boob, like over bra, no doubt in my mind. I remember having that for sure, like that
through the side of the shirt,
absolutely.
On the seat.
And it's like, the movie's long, and I was like, I couldn't work up the courage to make any sort of move, so it'd just be like touching shoulders or touching knees, and I couldn't do it, whatever. And then after the movie, my sister brought us home or whatever, and then she like dumped me truly like 2 to 3 hours after the movie, and I remember being so upset. I was like, but I paid for a movie ticket for both of us, which is total $14 back then. But I remember just being like, oh, I've miscalculated everything, and being very scared of the movie theater hookup. Ever since then. But people were doing it. People who were cooler than me and had more, who were braver than me, were hooking up in movie theaters. So I salute all of them.
I hate to break it to you, but she used you to watch Pearl Harbor.
I don't want to.
She wanted to see that movie so bad.
And
wait, she
gas money and ticket money, but I won't say she used me. I do think she could, like, help me heal by just reimbursing me.
She just owes you a ticket to Saving Private Ryan, like 100%.
It's part of the restorative justice process of it. Right. Like, she shouldn't be penalized necessarily, but there's harm that needs to be repaired.
I will say this: she posts some very problematic stuff on social media, and she comes from a family of racists, so I think in hindsight, her paying me back for gas and a movie ticket and popcorn if we got it. I can't remember, but I was a chubby kid, so I'm assuming we did. That's reparations for me. Like, I'm never gonna get reparations. So like, if a racist reimburses me for a bad movie, that feels as close as I'll ever get.
It's like if Larry David designed reparations. It's just like you have to pay back like whatever like personal grievance you ever did to the exact dollar amount.
That is a terrifying thought. The idea of Larry David being in charge of that is true. I got an actual chill on my body. You're right. That's exactly what it would be.
Oh man, that's so funny. Man, the lamest thing I ever did in a movie theater was when we were in 5th grade. So this was like before I had hit like puberty. Like, I was still very much a child and not like a teenage girl. I was like 10 or 11. And we got dropped off at the movie theaters alone by Elizabeth Alverson Banks' parents. And
that's a name.
The middle name.
I know. No, she has 2 last names. And so... anyway, so we got dropped off at the movie theater, and I was with like kind of the cool girls, and like we had just been at Elizabeth's house and her brothers were smoking weed and she acted like it was like a normal thing. And I was like, I'm out of my element. And then we got dropped off to go see one movie. And then we were like, we're going to sneak into Scary Movie instead. And I was like, no, we're going to go to jail if we do that. And so I refused. I was like, no, we're going to go to the kids movie. Absolutely not. I would not let anyone go see Scary Movie. And I never got invited to Elizabeth's house again.
That's funny.
Yeah. And then she ended up being the first person I smoked pot with like 4 years later. And now she's a doctor. So sneak into movies, kids.
What a ride that was.
She's doing great.
Yeah, this is awesome. That sounds fantastic. I like the idea of you being a child and be like, we already smell like weed smoke. We're not going to go sneak.
We're not going to go to jail.
I am not going to jail.
My mom didn't drop us off at movies yet. When I went to movies, until I was in like 6th or 7th grade, if I went to a movie with my friends, like my parents were in another theater, but like I wasn't in the theater alone. I had like kind of overprotective parents, but honestly, I think that's fairly reasonable. 5th grade's like really young to me, but I know Benjamin, you just like got to go around and like have tons of freedom as a child, right?
I was just talking about this with Izzy the other day. I feel like I'm the very last generation of like feral kid that that their parents like still loved them.
Yeah.
Because like I think it's because like me and a few of my other friends had like older parents or whatever. But like I remember we were in like 5th grade, so we were like 10 years old, and we would like take the city bus to like Minnesota Twins games, like in a different city.
Yeah.
Like we would go from St. Paul to Minneapolis and then go to the Metrodome where they like everyone was just drinking beer and we would just like watch a baseball game because it was like $2 to get in.
That sounds kind of magical.
Yeah.
It was great. It was like, I mean, like I wish that shit was still allowed. It's pretty hard to like steal a kid, right? Or like steal a group of kids, you know?
Yeah, if the kid's in a group. I mean, I think like my mom was a stay-at-home mom. And so she had no reason to like let me do stuff alone. And so I think that was like a big part of it for me. They were just overprotective because they had like enough money to be, I guess. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Yeah, I was completely feral, 100% latchkey kid. Like, play video games.
But you probably just stayed inside though.
Oh yeah, nah, sort of. Went to the mall, you know. Went to the arcade. Went to Boomtown Casino to play Dance Dance Revolution at the arcade.
Whoa.
Yeah.
You went to a casino?
Yep. Like every fucking weekend, dude.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so funny.
Smoky ass Boomtown Casino.
It's like a little baby betting on horse races.
Yeah, no, I was feral for sure. Yeah. Oh, you know that story about my dad with the Snickers in the butter compartment of his fridge?
No.
What?
It doesn't. I'll tell the story.
This is a legendary story. You don't know that?
Well, my relationship with food is the stuff of legend for MD specifically.
It makes me so upset.
Yeah, but I won't reiterate it because we've done it on the podcast before. But there's one time we were visiting my dad at his like apartment in Meridian, Mississippi, and there was like no food in the house, and so me and my sister were gonna make like rice and butter. And so we found the rice, we made rice, we look in the fridge for butter, we open the butter compartment, and there's it's not a Snickers, it's a Butterfinger. There was a Butterfinger in the butter compartment. And then we held it up to our dad, and we were like, Dad, what the fuck is this? And he's like, bachelor pad. So that was a legendary story in my family. Yeah.
That's not even an answer.
I know.
That's so sad.
Yeah, I mean, but on the other hand, like it is now my sense of humor to put a Butterfinger in the butter compartment. Like that is the kind of joke that I think is funny. So,
yeah.
I do have. I'm trying to process. I'm like, was he doing it as a? But he was just like refrigerating a Butterfinger, or was he doing a joke?
No, it was definitely a joke, but it was like a joke that he did for himself living alone.
Was there butter in the fridge somewhere else?
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not okay.
Yeah.
That's child abuse.
No, it's not. It's.
I mean, I'm kidding because I love butter.
Oh, gotcha. But yeah, it was like he did not do that for our sake. He did it living alone. He thought it was hilarious to store his Butterfinger in the butter compartment. And it's true. It's like, you got to hand it to him. That's funny.
I mean, think it's child abuse not to like have your kids make rice and butter for themselves and not even have butter. But I don't know, if you have the means to have other food, it's not great.
There was salsa. I think we had salsa.
Okay.
Oh, that's you should have done right. If you can ever go back in time, go back to that moment and just do rice and salsa.
That's exactly what we did. That's what we did. Yeah.
I look, I can't speak to the child abuse angle of any of this, but I will say, as a joke, I'm not sure I get it. I'm not sure it's resonating with me, other than the fact that in the name Butterfinger it does say butter. I do understand that.
Yeah,
I think that's it.
That's it.
I'm not sure.
That's the joke. That's it. Well, I mean, because it's structured like a joke, because you can't see what's in the butter compartment until you open it, and then there's this moment.
Oh, see, this is why it's good that we have podcasts like this. I'm learning different experiences. I thought it was one of those like clear. Yeah. So like in my fridge, we don't even have the door. It's just like you put the butter where the butter shelf is or whatever. Mm-hmm. And my old fridge, it was clear, so you knew if there's butter in there. But you couldn't see through. Okay, now that's a whole.
Oh yeah, no, I was picturing clear the whole time.
I was picturing clear. Yeah.
Okay.
I honestly think
that
so it's a surprise.
It's better now.
I actually think it would be even funnier if it had been translucent, so you could just see the yellow of the wrapper, but you couldn't tell that it was not butter, so that it looks like butter even when you're looking at it, and then you open it and it's a Butterfinger. I think that's.
You couldn't believe that it wasn't butter.
I fucking hate you.
Really? Out of all of
Could you play the I can't believe it's not butter like commercial theme or something?
That's corny. That's corny,
does it have a jingle? I don't think it has a jingle.
I just assumed everything has a jingle. You know, it's like why wouldn't it? Back when that came out, why wouldn't that have some sort of song associated? I guess I'm just better at marketing than I can't believe they're not around anymore. So actually, that's not true. Yeah.
Fabio's still around, right? Is he dead?
For sure, still around. I just saw it in the store yesterday, so I don't know why I said that.
Fabio's
they market it as like fancy. It's like Earth Balance.
Oh, nice.
Instead of I can't believe it's not butter.
I can't believe this is probably poison. It's not butter, but it's not necessarily better for you.
I can't believe it's not organic.
There it is.
So were you like a free range kid, Ben?
Yeah, as you're all telling these stories, I guess I would. Like, we just lived far enough out. So from the center of like my small town, we lived 5 miles outside of that in kind of a country area. So like we had like a little lake near us, and then we had woods, and there were farms, so there were like cornfields and shit that we'd like play in. So like in hindsight, like especially in summers, like I'd just be like, in the morning, be like, okay, I'm going to go over to Adam, my neighbor's house or whatever. And they just wouldn't see me until like 12 hours later, maybe, you know? And it was just, if I was going to stay overnight somewhere, I would call. And then as I got older, I guess I wasn't like, they just knew I was adverse to getting in trouble. So they always just kind of let me do my thing. Like my older sister was the one who was like sneaking beer in through the basement window and shit. But so yeah, I was around a lot. I will say I was just telling my girlfriend the story. I did get drunk in 6th grade. So like
nice.
They didn't miss a few things, but like
did you get caught?
Speaking, I didn't. So it was my sister's grad party for high school, and my parents must have been in bed or whatever. So it was all the cool teens who were partying with 6th graders.
Hell yeah.
And so me and my buddy Bryce Anderson, I don't think my parents ever knew, but I think my sister's friends had. Like my buddy Bryce, like punched a tree. Like he was hammered.
Yeah.
So I think the kids knew.
Classic dude move, man.
Right. I'll tell you, here's why he did it. And I still to this day don't know if it was like he was doing a bit and I didn't understand it, because as we can tell by the Butterfinger incident, I don't understand comedy. So, but he was like, this tree is talking shit about a girl I have a crush on. So he was like fighting it. And I was like, okay, man, whatever. And he just like hit an oak tree, and that was like the whole thing. And I laugh about that to this day.
Oh shit! Wait, sorry to derail this, but have you guys seen? There's like a new trend. I watch a lot of like sports highlights on Instagram.
Okay.
Like accounts that are just like sports highlights.
Right.
But they'll sneak in things that aren't sports, just like people like being like extreme. And there was a trend a couple months ago where like swole dudes would run full speed into trees and then knock the tree over.
That rocks.
What the fuck?
What are you talking about?
Absolutely.
That can't be real.
No, definitely not.
No, it's totally a real thing.
No, it's not.
It was just guys running into trees. And
the tree was already cut.
Yeah.
It had to already be cut, right?
Or dug
you can't
up or
knock over a
something.
tree.
Yeah. If a hurricane can't do
I'll
it,
find it.
Or you're watching clips of actual like superheroes just testing.
Were they small trees?
It's a redwood.
I mean, it was like in the forest. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm trying to.
Man.
Yeah, this is upsetting. I'm gonna have to watch a video of this, and it's gonna change my life. I bet. This is the exact kind of thing I feel like I want to see. Why you just stumbled? So you were watching like basketball highlights, and then they're like, also, here's a guy running full speed ahead into a tree, and you're like, this is totally normal.
Yeah, it was like that like account like House of Highlights on Instagram. It's pretty. It's popular. Oh man, I typed in guy running into tree on YouTube, and it's like I haven't even clicked on anything yet, and it's already racist.
Oh, awesome.
What?
What?
Oh my God.
That's not what I thought you were gonna say at all.
Yeah.
I thought it was gonna be like Rotten.com, watch people die, faces of death shit.
The first one is like black guy runs into tree, pees on himself.
Well, that's not really
YouTube is a really well. I think it's. I would bet that it's probably that guy has some pretty problematic views.
Sure, that's fair. If it's like a white YouTuber being like, look at this black guy who ran into the woods.
Yeah, it feels weird to specify it in the caption.
You could just say guy runs into tree, you know?
Pees on himself. I mean, pees on himself is important.
Right.
Yeah.
Wait, what was I going to say? Yeah, Ben, have you seen the guys shooting their dicks off?
What the fuck? What are you talking about?
They're these guys that are, I don't know, I don't believe that it's real, even though I've seen a video and a guy shoots himself in the penis, but
if it's not real, they spent a lot of money on like realistic like squibs.
It's ostensibly these guys owning the libs by holding loaded guns to their dicks and then shooting, and many of them, I've only seen one video where the guy actually shoots himself in the crotch. You don't see his penis like get shot, but he shoots himself in the crotch, and it actually he went he didn't shoot his penis, he shot his leg, and he posted a follow-up after where it was like, thought it was a graze wound, but it was actually the entrance and the exit wound. Anyway, he shot himself in the thigh and went to the hospital.
Nice.
Anyway, they're holding loaded guns to their cocks down the libs.
Yeah, I don't think I've run into those yet.
Next, you're going to tell me you haven't seen Joyce Carol Oates' foot.
I did see that last night.
All right. I was going to say, if you haven't seen, you got to log on, man. You're insufficiently logged on.
So what's funny is I saw that picture the first time, and I was like, yo, what the fuck? And I circled back to it maybe truly, I would say it was 12 hours later. I don't know what happened, but I was like, yeah, I don't know if that's as bad as I didn't have the same reaction. I don't know if it's just because
No, it's pretty bad.
But I guess everyone's like, you need to get that checked out immediately.
Yeah, you got to get that lanced.
She looks like she's something's up with that. Oh man, I watched the Netflix series. I watched the whole thing yesterday. I just had a real nothing day yesterday, but I watched the entire show Unwell. It's 6 episodes and it's about the wellness industry. It was really good. Some of the episodes sucked. The Tantra episode was like this total snooze fest, but but some of them were really good. They have an ayahuasca episode that was really good.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, I recommend it for everyone.
Okay.
Before we get off the feral childhood stories, I just want to tell one more, which is that when I was a kid, I had a friend down the street who's he was like my best friend in the neighborhood, and I would say his family was aggressively Italian or like belligerently Italian. And so, and his grandfather lived with them, and he spent a lot of time at the track. And so we were like, oh, he likes to play the ponies, maybe like a gambling problem, but like nothing out of the ordinary or whatever, and spent a lot of time there. But one day we were like, I don't know, doing feral kid shit, such as making ourselves macaroni in his kitchen. And so I go into the cabinet looking for a pot, and behind all the pots and pans, there was an entire office that was lit up. Like the grandfather had forgotten to turn the lights off. He's a bookie. And he has like an entire, and I went, and I didn't realize it at the time, but I went home and told my family, I was like, we have to get a secret room. It's so cool to have a secret room with all your papers in it. The book of people whose legs you were planning to break or whatever. Yeah. And they were like, oh, that's funny.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go.
I was going to say, did they ever like explain to you? How long did it take for you to know that he's a bookie now? Did you know that?
Like, I don't think they actually told me until I was like 20.
Yo, that's crazy.
Yeah. But he had Goldeneye on N64.
Adults in your life were just like doing crime is like that's always a really fun realization.
Yeah.
Because like my dad's a musician. And then I think it was probably like 11 when I was like, oh, his friends are drug addicts. That's why there's always pee all over the bathroom.
Right.
Like when they have band practices because they are too high to aim at the toilet. Got it. Totally. Making a lot more sense now.
Don't be sad about it. No one be sad about that. But you're right. Like you don't realize when you're a kid, you have no idea because you don't know until you have context, and then even then, it takes time to like compute this. But like my dad, who like we don't get along anymore or whatever, but it wasn't even because of this. But when he was a landscaper, so like he would drive to all these places. I would go with him a lot of times. We would do different shit, and he would have coolers of beer in his vehicle that he was drinking with him, and I had no idea. And then like I jokingly would mention that as an adult, and they're like, well, that's child endangerment. I was like, no, that's just like what you do in the
yeah,
that's just fun.
Yeah, you just drink and drive with your child. Absolutely.
And he was so adamant. He would like, it's so funny. I'm like, oh, he wanted to die because like he would never wear seatbelts. He would never do any of this stuff. I'm like, oh, you're just like a sad guy who loves bad beer.
Yeah.
Oh man.
When I was a
kid,
it's
fun. It's very fun. Everybody's happy. Yeah. Don't worry about it. We're good.
My parents drank and drove. I mean, my parents had Go Cups in the car, but my dad is a banker, so it was different. It wasn't like he was working, but when they were social, they would always have a drink.
Is that? If this is ignorant, I'm sorry. Is that I'm apologizing so much, and I'm realizing it now, and I hate myself.
I'm not in a press group, so it can't be a question.
Fair enough. Do you? But like Go Cups, where y'all are at, that's like a thing, though, right? You're allowed to like take.
You're not allowed to drink and drive. I mean, you were until I was like little, but my mom thought it was legal until I was like 20 to drink while you drove a car.
People still like think it's legal here.
People definitely.
It's not. But there are definitely people who are like, yeah, no, it's not.
I mean, my mom, to be fair to her, she actually thought it was legal to have a cup in the passenger seat while the driver was driving.
Sure.
But you can't have an open container in the car unless someone's in the back seat. It's very stupid.
Yeah.
Unless someone's in the back seat, you can have a open container, but it can't be in the front seat. It cannot be within reach of the driver is the rule.
Oh yeah, okay.
So like also technically if I were driving, like when I was like the sober driver and my friends had a half drunk bottle of wine in the front seat, I could be charged with an open container, but it's not that big of a deal. I mean, it's like a few $100s in a ticket, but if I don't have any alcohol in my system, then I'm not drinking and driving. But if I had any alcohol in my system, I would be booked for drunk driving.
Right.
Yeah.
That part's pretty universal, I feel like. I just was curious because I know like Go Cup culture where you are at is a thing. I remember it being like, I was like, this is amazing. I love it.
But it's pretty much the same as with cars until like, I think it was like whenever Louisiana was bullied into making the drinking age 21 by the federal government.
Yeah.
Was when it became illegal to, I think it was like the early 90s, right?
Okay.
So anyway, that was because we were like the last state to make it 21.
What was it?
My mom
18 before?
Yeah.
Okay.
My mom was like in the like age gap where like she like I think she was like 19 when they changed the drinking age to 21. And she still wears that as like a badge of honor. Like, I got to go to bars.
Oh man, my parents were going to bars when they were like 14 and 15. But New Orleans was, I mean, so was I. Not 14. Yeah. I was going to bars, and honestly, I wasn't cool enough at Sacred Heart to be one of the like hot girls that had a fake ID when I was at like 15. But when we were 17, we were all like experts at bars.
Oh yeah.
My girlfriend is she's from London, and like the drinking age there is like childhood. You can just drink whenever
you can reach the top of the bar to put money on it.
But the bars in London are like they all just look like you're walking into someone's house where there's a bartender.
Yeah.
And so she was like, it wasn't that fun. We would just like go, and then creepy old guys would like hit on you, and it's like, well, we'd rather just drink outside. I think.
Yeah.
We're not like near like a creepy campfire inside.
Yeah.
Right.
The rest
they
of
have
America,
like fires in bars there. It's pleasant if you're not like trying to hit on if you're not Ted Nugent, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know if I don't trust drunk Americans around fires in general. And then you bring that concept indoors, and I don't love it. I'll be honest. I don't.
Yeah.
I just feel like there's going to be some sort of weird chat. I mean, we're already shooting our dicks off in the street, so like, who knows what we would do with open flame indoors near alcohol? I'm not here for that. I'm sorry.
There would be a viral challenge on like who can make the fire the biggest pretty quickly.
Exactly. If there's a way, so because of the pandemic in New York, a lot of the bars in the summer have been doing like they can only do outdoor only stuff,
right?
And there's talk of doing like to-go cup stuff and all this, and like people, I don't know why, but they're very antsy about it. But like, do you think it? I guess if you've always had it, it doesn't matter. But like for me, I'm like, we should do that. Why? It's crazy to me that in New York that they don't have that, and I'm like, is it gonna make things worse? I don't think like New Orleans is like any worse because people can drink it. I think it's actually more fun,
better.
Honestly.
Yeah, for
sure.
People can drink in the street, and it feels such a prudish thing that in New York City, the quote unquote the city that never sleeps and all this shit. It's like you can't just grab a cup of like booze and just walk down a street.
Or even be like outside of a bar drinking.
Funny New Orleans story. This girl I like am not super close friends with, but she's a girl from New Orleans I was talking to right after she went to New York like 10 years ago. It was her first time in New York. And within an hour of being in New York City, like they got off the plane and then they went and got tall boys at the gas station. And the people there that lived in New York were like, you're going to get a ticket. Like you're going. And she was like, I'm from New Orleans. And then she immediately got a ticket. Like she like stepped outside and opened it and they were like, you've been cited for $250 or whatever.
Yeah, if it's not, that's why the like brown paper bag motif or whatever exists in New York, because like if they see that you have alcohol or whatever, they can like on the train and shit, they can like cite you. So people just sneak it, which
I just prefer to drink out of bags.
Nothing to see here, boys. Move along.
It's advertising it like so fucking much. It is. I mean, I've never understood the laws around that. It's like you're allowed to do it. Like
Right.
Why is it
You're
not
already
there?
Is it? Yeah, I don't know if it's liability or whatever, but like now so many people, so many places are hemorrhaging money, and it's like if you could sell to-go stuff, along with some of the outdoor stuff is kind of dicey because they'll be like, okay, we're doing outdoors, but then there'll be like a canopy, there'll be people sitting like right next to each other, and like in my neighborhood, I'm just like, well, we're all gonna die within the next month because nobody's following any sort of ordinances or whatever. But I think there's something to be said for like, yeah, you can buy drinks here and then just take them to the park or whatever.
Man, I don't know. It might just be like a problem with my brain or whatever, but when like very obvious shit like this can't be figured out and agreed on, it makes me like so much more hopeless to like solve like bigger problems. Like we can't fix the like, can I have a beer?
Right.
Problem in society, and people are like, we should have a general strike.
I am so annoyed with people like calling for strikes and also calling for teacher strikes online. I'm like, so you just want us to quit our job? I mean, I'm not a teacher. I actually am a teacher now. We're so desperate for teachers that I'm teaching a class 4 days a week on social emotional learning. Right. I'm doing it with a counselor, but I'm like in Google Classroom teaching a class.
Yeah.
So I like they're super hard up right now. So anyway, like people calling for teacher strikes, I understand that like it affects everyone, blah blah blah. But like, and then I don't know. I've seen a few things, and I'm getting ready to get really mad because I've seen people posting that like, you know, people say that they live in a right to work state. Like Louisiana's an at-will employment state. So you can get fired for any reason and you can quit for any reason. You don't have a contract.
Right. And
so like, so yes, that doesn't mean that you will get fired if you strike. It just means that you can. And that there aren't, and because you can be fired for joining a union, the union that we do have, at least in New Orleans, sucks. So like, I understand, like, I feel like if there was an organized strike, I'd like to think I wouldn't scab. I don't think I would. But calling for a strike when there's nothing in place, it's like, what? Well, like, I feel like...
It's just everyone's go-to, like, you've never organized before, you don't know what it actually takes to coordinate, like, a bunch of people to do anything, be like, it's like if, like, I'm unemployed right now, and, like, if someone told me, like, you should try and be like a starting shooting guard in the NBA. That's what you should go for. It's like, well, I haven't. I don't even have a job.
I don't know. I'd like to talk more because I've seen people that I respect who do know what they're talking about saying this. So some of them are our friends. So like, I'm not shitting on them. The reason that it got under my skin is that I respect them. Like, I don't get annoyed by things that idiots say. I'm just like, yeah, that idiot said that. But like and I also really try to, like, the easy thing is like, oh, we can't strike, you know, it's too hard. So I don't want to just fall back on that because then nothing will ever happen. And I do think that like the goal should be a strike, but I like don't know how to get that started. Also, my particular school is very hard to organize because it's a ton of like people who are here on conditional work visas because it's a French school. So they're not, I mean, they can't do shit. They can't be like, yes.
Can I grind an axe briefly? I saw the stupidest headline on the planet of Earth on BBC.com today. And it's nonviolent protests are twice as likely to succeed as armed conflicts. And like all the research about it. And then if you scroll down, they're just like, and by nonviolent protests, we mean general strikes. Just like, yeah, a fucking work stoppage fucking
that's
works.
That's not a fucking protest.
That's not a sit-in, dude. Right. That's like, yeah. Anyway, but like nowhere in the headline is any sort of labor anything mentioned. It's very funny.
Also, people act like strikes are violent. People act like
absolutely.
It feels like
especially
like
with
that.
Teachers.
Yep. Yeah. Teachers, healthcare workers.
That's like I think I get your frustration because it's like, especially now there are a lot of people, and not that I'm above this at all, but like who like I feel like we're frustrated, right? And we have idea and we want change, like and so it's like, ideally, yes, everyone would just go on strike and no one would work until we fix our country. But like the logistics that go into no one like really, very few people break down the logistics that go into that and understand the real world consequences of doing that. It's pretty easy to spot off on Twitter. I do it all the time.
Yeah.
To talk shit on Twitter and be like,
and it's one thing to be like, we need this. It's like, okay, one could argue that that doesn't mean that it needs to happen tomorrow, but you're saying like, let's get the foundations in order to make this happen at some point. Mm-hmm. But I don't know how helpful that is. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, everyone who says that
Sorry,
shit...
I need to cut you off.
Everyone who says that shit just needs to read Jane McAlevey. That's it. Like, because it's like so much prep goes into a strike. It's not even fucking funny. And you have to make sure that everybody, like a critical mass of people is on board before you take any action, or else like the few people who go on strike get fucking punished, and then everyone else is cowed and it fails.
Yeah, I guess I felt like people were just basically screaming at me to quit my job and give up my health care during a pandemic for no reason. It's like, if I do that, there should be a good reason.
Yeah.
And now, can we get you to commit to doing that on this podcast right now?
Mm-hmm. No. Actually, we'll just do it for you. I'm just gonna write a letter of resignation and forge your signature and send it.
Although ironically, like if anyone from my work listens to this and tattles on me, then I don't know. I feel like my work, like some people are lefty enough that they might not get
French people
fired.
Understand what strikes are.
Yeah. And I wouldn't do it in this. I don't know. But a lot of the people that are lefty on other things are like super anti-strike and super pro-charter school. It's very annoying and confusing.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's tough when you like when you have something that other people don't have, like trying to give it up for any like greater purpose, especially without thinking you're really going to win. I think that's the frustrating part about it is like, well, yeah, if we were anywhere near that organized, like, or even like trying to get that organized are like good things, but it's just people trying to like skip to the end.
Right. Totally.
Yeah. Right. You can't just, be like, oh, we should overthrow the government.
Right.
Like, yes, we should. No shit. Fuck Mitch McConnell. Like, we should kill him, but like...
Satire parody.
It
would take some steps to be able to get away with that.
Yeah.
You know?
And also, like, when it comes to teaching, people, like, teachers, I don't have this martyr thing, like, that teachers have. That whole thing, like, I got to do everything for the kids, because there is nothing... No matter how left-wing a person is in their mind, the immediate needs of children are going to supersede that for like for people who have been teaching for a long time, who are really passionate about it, who have devoted their lives. It's almost a religious calling for them. Mm-hmm. And so people that I've always agreed with now are like willing to go back to work during a pandemic in person, willing to do all this stuff, even though they're afraid and like don't think COVID is a hoax. Like I said to one of my coworkers flat out within earshot of everyone, I was like, if they do full school, not hybrid, not like 2 days a week, half the amount of kids, if they do full school, like my sister-in-law is doing, she works at a private Episcopal school and is back at work full school. Same with my cousin.
What's the point of Episcopalianism if you're not going to be a little bit cool?
Yeah, I know. Well, I have a cousin that works at a Catholic school, and my sister-in-law works at an Episcopal school. They're both teaching in person, like full classes. And they have smaller class sizes.
The only difference is that no one at the Episcopal school feels bad about it.
Yeah. But like
I don't get these jokes at all. I just think it's funny that Piss Cup is in the name of their religion.
Hell yes, absolutely. Anyway.
My sister-in-law is an atheist, but like
parody satire.
Being like she should just quit her job at her shitty school. It's like she has 2 small kids and her husband works at a radio station. Like she can't. I mean, she can't. Like it doesn't. Your political views don't. I don't know. Anyway, I'll stop ranting about this.
I mean, I actually disagree with that pretty strong, because that is like that's how all of it works. There's always personal consequences.
But when there's no strike happening.
No, I'm not saying people should like quit, but like to argue against like these things because of like what could personally happen to someone, like that's the whole foundation of labor is like your only power is withholding it, and it sucks. You will be shit on, but like that's the only power.
Right.
I just think there's a huge difference. I just think there's a huge difference between judging someone's actions for not like joining a strike that is organized and going to work when there's like no one organizing people.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Some shit's just a bad idea. Like, yeah.
Like, I don't think that, I mean, I don't know if, you know, like I said, if there were people organizing, I'd like to think I wouldn't, and I think I would not scab. Like, I think I would join the strike.
Definitely.
But I think that that's far away. Like, that might be years away.
I'm also not telling you to quit.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, like,
I am saying that you need to quit right now.
I just feel like being like teachers should strike. It's like, I guess expecting people that aren't organizers to start a strike is weird.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, it's foreign to, you know, people in this country, especially like people anywhere near our generation. Like we have no like lived memory of this happening. Like in like France or whatever, like I always bring this up, but like the whole country will shut down if they're like, you have to be on time to work. Like, no, we like, and they'll like burn a cop car if that's said. But like, and it's because they're like, yeah, it's always been this way. They do anything and we flip out. But like in America, it's just people are used to being like, whatever they tell us, I guess we have to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's really hard to be the first people in, you know, your lived memory to ever like coordinate anything when there's like no infrastructure for you to succeed in those actions.
Yeah. And I just want to clarify, I wasn't saying like that she has two small kids to say that she couldn't strike. I was saying like she can't be the first one to strike because it's just quitting a job.
Yeah, she can't be the one just like making a leap of faith that everyone's going to join in.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's like when one person is like, I don't buy Nestle products because of slavery. And it's like, well, that's good, but that's not like a boycott. It's like a different thing. Like,
yeah, exactly.
And then
there's no such thing as a personal boycott. There's no such thing. Yeah.
Anyway. Ben, you quit your job? What you do?
I should. I work for a real estate development firm. So like pre-pandemic, they were probably, you know, part of the reason New York is so expensive and all this shit. This is a weird time for me because this is a temp job. This was a temp job.
Mm-hmm.
And then a pandemic happens, right? And like this job helped me out a lot as far as paying bills and whatever, but like I wanted to be a comedian, you know, like that was the thing.
Right.
I used to be a journalist. I used to work at a newspaper, and then I used to work for the Minnesota Department of Human Rights, and like was literally helping craft legislation and building spaces for like minorities and disadvantaged communities to like have a space at the table. So like I was doing things that even in a small way mattered, right? And then I was like, no, but I think I should be paid to talk about my dick and shit. So I made that choice. I made a very selfish choice and moved to New York. And I'd been doing comedy in Minnesota, but moving to New York was like, really the thing was like, okay, I'm going to try to make this my career. And then having that mindset during this pandemic has like, it's crazy. Like, I'm like reevaluating career choices and like, okay, if I never get to do comedy again, like what is my passion? Do I go back to journalism? Do I go, like, can I even? And it's been kind of tough mentally just to figure out like, okay, if you're not a comedian, like what are you?
Right. And you also like you left journalism and you were like, okay, this profession is maybe on the decline, and then you're like, you know what's booming right now? Stand-up comedy. Bars will never shut down. Bars won't shut down. Yeah.
It is weird just to be like, oh, like even if we get through everything that's happening right now, is, you know, is stand-up as not just comedy in general, but like stand-up specifically as a art form, medium, whatever. Even if you get through this, it's tough to like be like, oh, something like this could just happen again and take it all away.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't feel like a viable career. So now I'm like, I don't know, do I just do it as like a hobby and like find a career that I feel like I constantly am like, I want to get back to like serving people and like helping communities and something of substance, if like, just because I feel like I've been doing a thing that's so selfish for like 7 years. So
I don't know. I mean,
I know.
I know what you're saying, but I disagree that it's selfish to pursue, like, I don't know. I think that it's not, I understand what you're saying, that like the career itself should be fulfilling, like you're serving others to not feel selfish. But I feel like if you're good at stand-up, you're doing a service by trying to like be successful instead of someone who sucks at stand-up.
Like, dude, yeah, I'm fully behind that. People are like, there's enough demand for comedy that it's like, if you don't suck balls at comedy, you're a public servant. Your moral obligation to be better at it than like the dog shit.
I'm gonna start a nonprofit, and our mission will be to just kill bad comics. That will be.
I mean, yeah, like I don't understand how, you know, Theo Von has a career. Like and like good comics that have stayed at our house that also have careers, like don't talk shit about people. Like when I've been like, yeah, Theo Von is objectively too stupid to, I can't believe he can walk and chew gum. The fact that he can hold a microphone and talk blows my mind. He seems absolutely incompetent and so bad at stand-up. And
I love your particular beef with Theo Von.
I'm so excited right now.
So bad. I don't understand.
I love this.
Well, just like he's just like one example of like many like just hack bad comics that are kind of famous a little, that like parents at my school will be like, they'll see me do stand up and like at the Dragon's Den. That's me and Vince's show pre-pandemic every Friday.
Great show.
And we, I don't know.
Travel. You plugged in the show in the past.
Yeah. And Ben had mentioned it in the beginning. So anyway, but like parents will like happen to see me and be like, I didn't know you did stand up. Do you like, and then they'll be like Theo Von or someone that I don't like. Theo Von has happened like 3 times with dads at my school. I have to just like, grit my teeth and be like, yes, he's funny.
Dude, you got to slip him some Nate Bargatze, man. That's what you got to give conservative dads.
Nate Bargatze is the funniest person in the world, I think.
So
Nate Bargatze and Cat Williams are, the 2 best comedians. But anyway.
Yeah, that's a real thing. I feel like Theo Von is so that's so funny because I'm trying to think of the last time someone in real life has been like, have you ever heard of Theo Von?
Yeah.
Like, I know as comedians, like, yeah, we know who, and you're right, his bubble of people, like, I feel like he was a guy who you could easily throw him in the same group as like Brian Callen, Chris D'Elia. Like he was those LA like cool guy comics who are just creepy people or whatever.
Prolific DMers. I said prolific DM sliders.
Prolific DM. I thought you said a name, and I was like, "Who's this new person?" That I was mad about. I don't.
Hey, you don't know DMers? Billy DMers.
I don't. Yeah, I'll be. This happened to me yesterday, and my brother, who I love very much, was like, hey, I just listened to Tim Dillon on the Joe Rogan podcast. I think I'm gonna start checking out a stand-up. And then he also he's like, oh, and he's in Minnesota still, so they're allowed to do like outdoor, or they're doing comedy stuff. And he's like, and I'm gonna go see this name redacted local comedian who was just accused of like sexual harassment. And I was just like, this is like a trip, and he doesn't know that.
Yeah.
But
no, he doesn't.
This is like a triple decker shit sandwich of like, oh yeah, this is just what people just know a lot of people because of Joe Rogan or whatever.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, I don't even. It makes me think, what was I even? How can I be so self-righteous to be like, oh, this career path was selfish or whatever, like or I'm helping people, like. no one gives a shit. No one gives a shit about what I was doing. There are like 4 comedians that people know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. I saw your tweet about that, and it was very funny.
And it's true.
I
remember walking from a show, and there was, for whatever reason, this 17-year-old, 18-year-old girl or some shit was just at a show, and it was me, my friend Andrea, and this girl, and we were like, I don't know. She was from upstate New York, and she went to the city to watch comedy and saw one of the worst shows ever. I don't know why she would be at the show. So we're like, we'll walk you to the train. We just felt weird because she was young, right? We'll walk you to the train, and I was just like curious. I'm like, who do you like as
who are you guys?
Stand-up comedian?
Yeah.
And she's like, well, Kevin Hart's hilarious. And I'm like, yeah, of course, absolutely. Kevin Hart, sure, why not? Who else would you say, And then she was like, there's that pregnant what?
Ali Wall.
But it was Amy Schumer. It was Amy Schumer, and so she was like, pregnant white lady. I'm like, Amy Schumer? Or I don't, whatever, right? And then her third was Will Smith. Okay.
Absolutely.
This was like that time where he like just done stand-up comedy as like
the first time.
Right.
Yeah. And I was truly like, what the fuck am I even doing? Like, not that she would say me, but those people are far and above away from all the the people I know are like the best comedians, you know what I mean? And it really so now I am like, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't be so self-righteous about comedy as a career or whatever, and just be like, yeah, get a job, get a career that you love, and like you can just do comedy when it comes back or whatever. It doesn't have to be.
Yeah, and like
I'm just excited to like fucking like I'm at this point, I'll still probably, because of the like arrogant messianic complex piece of shit that I am, I'll still be like, I want to say something meaningful, but I just want to like have the environment of a good live show again. Like I really don't. I don't give a fuck. Like I wasn't gonna make it in the first place. Like even if I like even a real career in comedy, like fucking sucks. Like to be a working comic, you're still probably making like 30 grand a year and always traveling, and you like can't be like near your family really.
Yeah.
And then there's like 5 people who are like more successful than that, and they're all like sex perverts.
Yeah. Right.
And like there's just you're not gonna make you just have to like enjoy comedy to do it. It's like music at this point too. Like nobody makes it as an artist. Like if you can find a way to make a living, like good, but like if it makes you so fucking miserable, like all the compromises you have to go through to like make your art your work, then like fuck it, just have your art and your work, and like figure out a healthy way to separate those things. Like you can still be ambitious about it, but like you have to enjoy it. And like I hope people like feel more like this is like very like hippy dippy like rah-rah or whatever, but like I hope people feel more like grateful for like the chance to do it, because it's like it's such an insane way to socialize or hang out. And like the fact that like so many people who like are like pretty incredible people have like figured out how to make consistent good live shows and shit, like that's insane. That's nuts. And like not having that for like true lunatics who are like, I'm gonna make this my life, like having that like ripped away or whatever, it fucking sucks. So I hope people are like slightly like less petty or like careerist when they come back to it, and they're like, no, live shows are tight. Like it's like it's fun to make a whole group of people laugh, and then afterwards like listen to like silly songs at the bar.
I think that'll last. I think people, if comedy ever does come back, I think it'll be like pure and good for 1 year. And then people are going to start for the first time, and, everything will be bad again.
I think we already lost it. Like, I really do. Like, I've during this pandemic, I've truly had this thought of like, I think every week I'm like, I don't know if we deserve comedy back. Like, I'm like, because a new thing, like a Crystalia thing will come out, and then you'll see people supporting that, and or Brian Callen, or even like the most recent thing is not even something that horrible. It's just like Sarah Cooper does well, and you see the pettiness come out in a lot of people.
Oh my God, people just need to get over it. I'm just like, calm the fuck down. People like it.
They're just and I get it. Like I will fully admit, like I have no issues with her or her comedy at all. I don't really know much about her comedy, but like the TikToks themselves did nothing for me. But I wasn't like we must destroy this woman. You know, I was just like, I was kind of like,
she's no Theo Vaughn.
Right. Yeah. I felt crazy because I was like, I am the only person, it feels like, in America who is not on board with this. And even me, I was still like, but I am so fascinated and excited for her success. Because like the fact of the matter is, like, to me, she is so she's been, I don't know, I guess, you know, she's done other stuff. She's written books, whatever. She's been doing stand-up, I think someone said, for like 10 years or something. She's a little bit older. Like, she's not old, but she's a little bit older. And like, she's a black, and I'm like, you will never publicly have me be like, no, she doesn't deserve this. I'm like, she's worked for this harder than I have, 100%.
Yeah.
So whatever she gets from TikTok, I don't give a shit. So like, to see all these grouchy older white dude comedians in our New York scene or whatever be shitty about it, I'm like, no, we haven't earned comedy back. You don't get to do your outdoor show. We
were actually just in the podcast talking about how it was a bad look.
It is.
In the podcast chat. Yeah.
It's fucking lame to be petty. Like, to be
publicly petty, keep it to your friends.
Yeah,
like, talk shit to your friends, I think.
Exactly. Do you not have group chats? What's going on?
Yeah.
Like, what are we even doing?
Start a podcast.
Unless it's someone who's like sexist or shitty or has like terrible politics. But like, all she's doing is lip syncing. I don't know. I think they're kind of funny. It became this thing that was like liberal versus leftist, and like Sarah Cooper is like the liberal, whatever. Right. But like the Trump impression, like, her politics aside, the Trump impressions are apolitical, basically. They're like on the left, like they're like on the left of center, but they're not, all they are is just like making fun of how ridiculous Trump is. That's it.
Right.
That's it. Anyway.
Yeah. It's so, I truly am like, when you're like, you know, maybe we can go a year, I was like, I don't know, can we go a fucking week where we act like we deserve? Because like, I really do believe, like, Benjamin, what you're saying, like, I hope people appreciate it. Like, I've done one outdoor show. I've done stand up one time in the last almost 6 months, and it's crazy to me to think that people you're right, like, people don't understand how like lucky it sounds so corny to say it, but like, truly how lucky you are to be able to do that, to like be able to go out and like do this thing and like have a little bit, you would hope people have a little bit more respect for it. But like,
I mean, I've always I've never thought it was important, and I've always thought the music like sucked ass, but like punk or whatever, it's like, I don't get why people don't understand that like it's the same thing. It's just fucking DIY. Like, you're just trying to like have like a good time with your fucking friends, and if you can find some meaning in it, and if it like translates to like any sort of audience, like, you're lucky. But it's just shit you're doing on your own, and like that's what's fucking good about it. Like, even like, I don't know, even like comedy clubs, like, as much of a structure as that is, as much of like corporate shit as that is or whatever, like, it's still such a like, you make it yourself kind of like community or whatever. But people don't have that kind of like ethic around it. Like, people don't value it in the same way that like punk music, like, people value like those like spaces and that shit. And I think stand up is way more fun than like shitty music. Like, sorry, I don't like punk. But...
Yeah.
How dare you? This is a pro punk podcast. Even though this isn't my podcast, I've decided that we're pro punk.
I apologize. I'm very sorry.
I was going to ask Ben, when you did an outdoor show, did you do any new stuff or did you do old jokes?
I did probably 3/4 new stuff. I don't know the exact fraction. I did a lot of new stuff just because like, I had still been doing Zoom shows and stuff throughout a lot of this. So there was just new stuff for me to talk about. But when that wasn't going well, I just went back to like I closed on stuff. I'm like, okay, I think this will work. And I also know that the new stuff I've been doing, it's not like necessarily all house party fun stand up. It's like, I'm not gonna back away from talking about race or my feelings toward the world or whatever. I never did really before, but like I think there are a lot of people now who like you're going to if you're risking your life to see stand-up comedy or whatever right now, essentially, you're probably like, I just want to have a good time. And I'm like, no, I get that. And I will talk about ass eating totally, but you're gonna have to hear a little bit about how I feel about the state of the world.
Yeah,
first.
of course.
I'm sorry.
See, that's one reason I feel like my comedy's not. Well, first of all, I'm just like not feeling comedy right now. I've been asked to do a couple outdoor shows, and I said no because even though like the person that I consult for medical advice about what's safe to do, a doctor who did stand up, who stopped to become a doctor and is now like working with COVID patients.
Wait, Ben knows Panit.
Oh yeah, you know Panit. So Panit is the person that I text, and I'm like, can I was like, can I do this? I was just curious about outdoor shows because I don't even want to. He said that they're safe for whatever it's worth. And I know that doctors aren't the smartest people in the world, but he has been someone who was like extremely like more cautious than other doctors. Like when I was talking to him about going back to school, because like we had like doctors consulting us or whatever when we thought we were going to be going back to school now, that were saying it could be done safely or whatever. He was like, no, they're wrong. They're bad. Don't listen to them. So like, I trust his opinion about that stuff. Anyway, so he was saying he thinks it's pretty safe and like COVID's not going anywhere. So we kind of need to adapt to it. So if we can do something pretty safely, why not? I agree with that. I just like cannot be like, I can't tell my old jokes because they're all about dicks. Any new material I write is going to be very selfish and personal because that's always what I've written about. And like, I just can't imagine, not because it's wrong or whatever, but like, I cannot imagine enjoying being on stage right now. Sure. That's all. But I think that has to do with like the kind of comedy I did before we were in this time. Like, it just doesn't translate well. Like, I feel like I would get booed off stage and I would deserve it.
I don't know. No. Those two things are not true. I do agree with what you're saying. Like, I felt the same. I'll say this, like, I didn't feel any, this might be fucked up, but I didn't feel any joy from doing, someone asked me like, hey, do you feel better? And I was like, no, I still feel like shit. But I did like I got to watch Casey James Salengo. I don't know if you.
Oh yeah.
So Casey's like, he's just like a good, nice person.
Right.
He's so fun. And I was just watching him. That was the part I was like, this is what I miss. Like, maybe I just become a fan of stand-up or whatever, but like watching Casey do a set and seeing some of the other people on the show do sets who are good comedians, I was like, oh, this is what I miss. Like, yeah, I feel like I'm the kind of person, like, annoyingly enough to my girlfriend, who will like, like I won't run bits faster, but I will try to make stuff. I will have my own fun, just the two of us in our small ass apartment, which she's probably like, go do shows, But like, I feel like I can find humor in a lot of different things. So I don't feel like I'm lacking for like telling jokes or laughing and stuff or whatever. But man, like truly watching Casey do it. Casey, like I can't even explain what he did. He just did some shit I'd never seen him do to start the show. And I asked him after, and I was like, that new thing, whatever, he was like literally talking, this is why you can talk about whatever you want to talk about. Casey was literally talking about drowning in a tub with his cat and his wife or something, and it was the most like whimsical. I was like, this is the funniest thing I've ever seen. He took a random person's muscle relaxer on stage. And I'm like, I need to, and not enough people saw this. I'm like, to me, this is now a legendary set. He was wearing like a Tommy Bahana shirt, like Amazing. He had glasses, hair slicked back. And I'm like, this I miss. And it was very much a, not punk rock per se, but like DIY, like what the fuck is, like, we're outdoors. This guy is just doing whatever the fuck he thinks is funny. And I was like, I truly miss that. And that's hopefully what I can create if I am going to, do outdoor shows or do our own show. We used to run a show here, and we're talking about doing it outdoors, but we just weren't sure. But
Who'd you run it with? Were you doing it with Micah?
So Mike and I ran an open mic in the basement of the Creek in the Cave, which was if you ever just hated yourself, you would come to our mic and like you'd hate yourself even more for wasting that much time. But
I mean, that's one of the worst places on earth.
But I love it. It is one of the worst places on earth, but it is also one of the best places to like whatever.
I only had fun there, but like I get it. Like every shitty thing I've heard about that place was like, oh yeah, it resonates 1,000%. Like it's one step into the fucking door, you're like, yeah, this is a miserable place.
It's exactly what we deserved, and it was like exactly for like the first, I don't know how long. I've been here almost 4 years, I think now. So like the first 2 years I was here, it was exactly what I needed. It was a place where nothing mattered, where I could figure my shit out in New York and meet people, whatever. But like, so we ran a show, Rohan Padye, Amy Rose Ranger, and Eric Monacle at the end. It used to be Jeff Asmus, and actually it was Raghav's show originally back in the day. But we would run a weekly show at this classic Brooklyn. It was a pizza place. It was a bar.
Oh yeah, no, I did that show. I guess before you were running it. Maybe is that?
You might have. You've got
it.
Yes, that's exactly it.
Airplane. Okay, yeah.
And so
that was fun as fuck.
It's a fun ass show. We loved it, but there's an outdoor space, and the owner, one of the he doesn't own the place. He just runs comedy there. We still don't really know what he does, but he has a show. And he was like, hey, would you be interested in doing an outdoor show? And we kind of thought about it. And I think when he approached us, we were all on board. And now I don't know. It's so weird. My stance on the shit is like, I will do, if someone asks me to do a show, I will do it, but I'm not at the point where I'm ready to produce an outdoor show.
Yeah, I agree.
Or, any of that stuff.
It's a lot because you're kind of responsible for if people actually decide to abide by.
Right.
Like, that's the thing. It's like, yes, it can be done safely, but I've been in a few situations where there was like a 1 week period in June where I was a fucking idiot. I think because cases had gone down in New Orleans and it seemed like everything was opening up. So in my mind, I was being like the compromised person where I was like, okay, I'll do a few outdoor things with friends. I'll try to go back to my gym, which is like kind of an outdoor warehouse thing. I went twice. Anyway, I don't go anymore. I don't do anything anymore. But like, there was like a week period where I was stupid and I hung out with friends a couple times, and both times it was like, yeah, we're going to be outdoors and distanced. And then we were in each other's asses. Like I kept like being like, no, we got to move back. But people were drinking. One of my friends is an ER nurse and she is like actually the dumbest. Like, because I think it's either, I don't know what it is, but I think that a lot of people who like have the most upfront knowledge of COVID are the dumbest because they're just like, fuck y'all, I'm not going to only go to work.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to do stuff outside of work, which is like bad, but like, I also get it. I don't know. It's like,
it feels more normal too. Like once you do anything, you're like, okay, I'll take this all the way.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
and I'm not like that. So after I did something very stupid that week, I like made a deal with God where I was like, if you don't give me COVID, I will not be stupid again. And I didn't get COVID and I've been very smart. I mean, like we've had friends in our backyard, but like one or two at a time, very spaced out,
right.
Man, the hubris to bargain with the Lord.
My family does that. That's when my grandmother quit smoking, was her brother wasn't religious and he died. And refused to have he had said he didn't want a Christian funeral. So Shotzi told God she would never smoke another cigarette if Charles could go to heaven. And so she thinks that her brother's in heaven because she quit smoking.
Love it.
Man, if I was the Lord and someone tried to pull that shit on me, I'd fucking thunder.
I think it makes sense.
Immediately.
Like, I mean, that's what people do. I think a lot of people do that.
I mean, this is classic Catholicism versus Judaism stuff. This is the evil eye thing all over again. That's what you're reacting to. Is you're like, you're fucking don't even try. You're gonna get the opposite of what you want.
Right.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm like, yeah, if you realize you've done bad and say you're sorry and don't do bad again, then God forgives you.
Yeah, I mean,
I believe in the Book of Job, God.
Yeah,
you just
totally.
fuck with someone like the whole time, and they're really good, and you're like, but I'm still God. So.
Yeah, I mean, Catholics treat the church like it's a bank. Like you go there and do transactions with God. And
yeah,
you're like,
well, it literally is.
Well, yeah.
I mean, like, yeah.
It's a one-way bank.
Yeah.
It's like a piggy bank that then seals itself, and
that's how people would. I mean, for 1,000 years or whatever, people would pay their way out of sins.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Now the only way you get money is if they pay you to relocate fucking kids, and they're like, just go somewhere else and think of more different kids.
Everyone is actually in hell, according to the Catholic Church. Every single person. Yeah.
I've spent the last, 5 months being like, how do we know we're not in hell right now?
Oh, yeah.
I've said that out loud so many times that people are tired of me saying it. I'm like, you can't prove to me that we're not in hell.
I was at a socially distanced barbecue Saturday, and we were like sitting, far apart from each other, and in St. Roch Park, and from across the park, this like floppy-eared collie, or not a collie, but some floppy-eared, large, beautiful dog was like bounding toward us with no owner in sight, and like multiple people were like, "Are we dead?" Like it was like a very Hallmark kind of slow motion run. Are we
dead?
We were not dead.
I love that as a reaction. I was like, what are you gonna say? I thought maybe you were gonna be worried the dog would give you COVID, like that. I couldn't. My brain couldn't compute where you were going. I love that.
You're like, how is this bad? How could this turn out bad?
Exactly.
Right.
Which we don't know for sure. There was a dog that died of COVID. We don't know.
I know. We don't want to talk. We don't want to think about it.
Yeah. This is like I had the same reaction when I saw that more than one person at a football game at a halftime show said, "I would like to thank God and Dr. Pepper." Like that was I found 3 examples of that, and I was just like, oh man, that's
hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh man.
A glitch in the Matrix.
Wait, what?
Okay, so Dr. Pepper does a halftime show.
I'm sorry, like this is not good podcasting, but I have no fucking idea what you're talking about.
Dr. Pepper does a halftime show where students throw footballs at holes, and if they make enough footballs in the holes, they win tuition money or whatever. And this is like for big
dystopian, very dystopian.
Yeah,
very sad.
Right. And just like these, just giant like conference championship type games and national championship type games. And I found 3 examples. I saw it once I saw it live on TV, and then I saw a video of someone else doing it. When I tried to look it up, I was like, oh, that was so funny. I got to find that video. And I couldn't find it. I could only find another instance where a woman wins $50,000 in tuition money, and the first thing she says is, "I would like to thank God and Dr. Pepper."
Oh Jesus!
For the rest of us, those are one and the same. It's redundant. Why are you just?
That's right.
Oh man,
we live in a world. Is that a fun thing to say on a podcast? Man, the world is bad.
Yeah,
it's all we say.
That's true.
Yeah, we don't leave a whole lot of hope. Really.
And on that note, I think we got to wrap it up.
Thank you, Ben.
Yeah, thanks for coming on the show.
This was really fun.
Do you have anything you want to plug, such as your Twitter handle?
You can just, that's really the only shit I'm doing right now. Just being mean to people who have wronged me in the past on Twitter. At Shaq Katzner on Twitter. Shaq like the basketball player. SHAQ Katzner KATZNER.
Yeah, follow that man. It's good to see you. Much love. We love you, Kate Root. And yeah, peace.